Hey, this is Duffy Jones from DVM Success, and today we're going to walk through our Vet-Telligence platform. We've added some new things to it, and I really want to just kind of walk through how to use it and just give you some insights on how to get the most out of it. So when you first log on, you're going to come onto this main screen here, and you're going to see a few things up here in the navigation bar. So financial data is going to bring you into the first set of reports that are going to be tied to QuickBooks. Hospital metrics are going to be the reports that are tied to your PIMS, where we're using Ally DVM to get that connection. Profit Defender is our pricing tool, which is going to help you price your goods and services in a way that's going to most affect your overall EBITDA. And again, that's going to use an Ally DVM connection. Practice Optimizer then lets you verify the prices that you've raised over 3, 6, 12 months after you've done it, so that you can make sure that you haven't overpriced anything. And this is going to also request or use an Ally DVM connection. The request Ally DVM connector is here, so if you have issues where Ally DVM hasn't connected, this will link you into their form to go ahead and get you connected, again, free of charge to you. And it's a great service, and that's part of our partnership that we have with them. And then manage hospitals. So this is going to let you look at the users on your hospital. It's going to let you look at the connections that you have. It's going to make people be admin and other things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the managed hospital and kind of work our way across. So when you come in, you can hit manage hospital, and what that's going to bring you into is this screen here. I have a couple of test hospitals in here. So I've got my Duffy test hospital, and what it's going to tell me is that QuickBooks last updated 4 minutes ago. And basically it's going to tell me that I have not configured my Ally DVM connection on this one. Since that one isn't a real hospital, that's why I haven't really connected it. But if you did, it would have when was the last time that connected right there. The other actions over here, which are really important, are the actions about your chart of accounts. So if I hit this, it's going to look at this chart of accounts. So I'm going to go down here to the sample hospital, and I'm going to look at kind of what this chart of account is going to do. So once you're in the chart of accounts, what you're going to see here is you're going to see the name, you're going to see a classification, you're going to see the type, and you're going to see the subtype. All of this information from full name, class, type, and subtype is all what's pulling from your QuickBooks. So on this one, you're going to see insurance expense, fidelity bond. It's an expense. They have it labeled, and they have it as another service code. And then what we're going to hear over here in the standard column is this is how we map it to the VMG AHA chart of accounts. So this one is a little bit unusual, and it's not something we normally see. So then we basically have it in the Ask My Accountant. And when you have it in the Ask My Accountant category, we have removed that from any of your graphs. So these are kind of things that don't necessarily fit in to the VMG AHA chart of accounts and things like that. Should you want to change that, you just click this, and this gives you the whole VMG AHA chart of account. So what you can say is, hey, even though I have this labeled as insurance fidelity bond in my QuickBooks, it really is, say, a tax expense, and I can label it to that, and then that's how it's going to show up in your graphs that way. When you roll down here, what you're going to start to see is you're going to start to see some numbers come in. So a lot of times these are accounts that were potentially maybe old in this QuickBooks before they converted over to the VMG chart of accounts, and then it starts to find these numbers, which makes it a lot easier to kind of match things up here. So if you have some uniqueness in your own QuickBooks and you have a couple of things that you've added and you want to get those kind of mapped back to the VMG chart of accounts so that your reports look right, this is how you do it. You do it in the Manage Hospital section there. Other things in the Manage Hospital section here is you've got what we call this copy registration code. So what it's going to do is if you want to invite other people to your dashboard, say you've got business consultants, say the MWI salespeople are really helping you work with your practice, you can copy this link, email it to them. And what it's going to do is when they click that link, it's going to have them register their email to your dashboard. That way they're going to be able to log in. They're going to be able to see your finances, your graphs, things like that, so that they can look at those at home, really see what's going on. A lot of accountants really like this as well, too, because they can kind of monitor what's going on. We've also had a few people use this for their business loans. Instead of having to send reports to the bank, they've actually invited them onto the dashboard. Bank was really satisfied with that because it's a direct pull from your QuickBooks. So you just copy that and then send it and email it and then log on. And if you want to see who's in your dashboards and who can get in, these are the people that are in there. And as when you're admin, you're able to see who's there and who's not there. And you can remove these people. So say someone, someone in your office has left, or that you can remove them from your dashboard so they can't see your data. So that's where you control all of that right there. And this final one, the one that looks like a hamburger, this one gives you basically configuration links. And this is, again, as we're getting everything configured, this gives you a link to Ally DVM to make sure that it's connecting correctly, that the API codes and things like that are in there. And then here's a link to QuickBooks. So if it wasn't connected to QuickBooks, or we've lost that connection to QuickBooks, we can reconnect through here. So this is all the Manage Hospital tab here, really important. And again, that's really kind of how you start to use and manage the people in your dashboards. Where we normally start is kind of your financial data here. So when you hit this, it's going to bring you into kind of this main screen right here. It's going to give you your hospitals. If you have one hospital, it'll just show one. I have a few hospitals that I am part of, so you can see those on here. I can select all of them, look at them together, or I can look at them individually. So I'm just going to look at this sample hospital individually. I'm going to hit practice evaluation because this is where we normally start. This is the screen that gives you the most information kind of very quickly about your practice. What it's going to do is in this bottom row, I'm able to choose between revenue, COGS, labor, and EBITDA, and I can look at it monthly or in the trailing 12 months. So I'm looking at revenue right now. The gold line is the optimized line where we want to see it, and the blue line is actually where you are. If you hover over any of these points, it'll actually give you dollar amounts by that month, so you can actually really look at it that way. And this will kind of be able to really show you the trends of what you're doing month. The trailing 12 gives you kind of a smoother picture of your trends. So what that's going to do is look at the trailing 12 from every month that goes on. So it kind of gives you an idea. You can see this hospital was really doing well, and then they've kind of flattened out a little bit and then starting to pick up from there. You can do the same thing with the cost of goods sold. So same thing, I'm looking at trailing 12. Blue is where they are. Gold is where we want them to be. So in COGS, we want to get that lower. So they were having a bit of a COGS problem here, but then they corrected some things and things really started looking better towards the end. So that's great. When you look at it monthly, sometimes COGS can be a very volatile because you're buying things, other things like that. So a lot of people will look at it the trailing 12 months that way. Same with labor, because again, the way we pay payroll and things like that, sometimes it can be a little volatile. But when we look at it the trailing 12 months, we can really see that they were really under their labor. They had a little bump here. They probably hired somebody, they generated more revenue, and then they kind of dropped back down in their percentage. Same thing with EBITDA. When you look at trailing 12, kind of gives you a trend of what their EBITDA has been doing. When you look at it monthly, there's a lot of variation in there. So it lets you kind of switch between these two here. When you look up here, these gives you the 3-year averages. When you hold over any of them, it'll give you your actual year of what's going on. You know, our target is over 23% EBITDA. They're at 27, so their box is green. Same thing with labor. We're really looking at you target a 35, so their labor is a little bit over on that one, but still overall trending pretty well. 3-year average on COGS, same thing. They're actually underneath and doing pretty well. And then revenue here. Over on this panel over here gives you your current EBITDA, gives you your current evaluation at a 6 multiple. So you're able to kind of switch your multiple and see what it does to your current evaluation here and see how things move. This hospital is actually doing really well. They're over the 23% EBITDA. So their optimized evaluation is actually a little bit under their current evaluation. So that's great. We're really happy about that. But most of the time when hospitals are under that, this will give them, if they optimized and did well, how much more value they could bring to their hospital. So that's the financial data. You can always kind of get back to the top navigation up here. You can also use this arrow to get back to the main screen here. Cost evaluation is another kind of set where what we're doing is we're really trying to give you actionable data on where you are. So if we look at cost of goods sold, and so this is going to be right now your QuickBooks is showing 15%. Here's your actual value in there. Your optimized amount would be here at about 18%. So they're doing well. They're under the 18%, which is great. We've got DVM comp. We want to see them at about 20. They're actually at 16, so that's great. So they get a green check mark. Staff comp, they're at 21. We like to see them about 18, so that gives you a kind of a target to try and reduce by. And then operating expense, same thing. They're right now at 18. We really want to see them at 15, so it gives them a target number to shoot at. The target numbers in labor and COGS budget. So if you download weekly and then get that revenue, it's going to give you a budget for the next week. These are just targets that you can hit to try and get into optimizing your hospital. Another graph down here of kind of here's their overall EBITDA, here's their optimized EBITDA, here's where they are. So just this hospital is doing really well. P&L, this gets you and lets you dig into any part of your P&L. You can change the date range up here. So I'm looking at P&L amounts in these big categories, and these are the categories of the VMG AHA chart of accounts, 21, 22, 23, and 24. This gives you basically arrows saying, hey, income was up over previous year. It kind of lets you have an idea. It says COGS was up over previous year. So you can kind of look between the arrows and really understand where you are. You can change any time frame up here. So you can look at month to month. You can look however you want to look at it. You can also look at quarter, and you can look at month names that way as well too, if you really want to see month to month on how it goes. I'm just going to stay in calendar year right now. All of these then open up as well too. So you're able to see things in the chart of accounts that way. So you can see that they kind of kept everything in this revenue bucket, and these will start to fill in later as they started to use the VMG chart of accounts as time went on. They started about in here in 23, so you can start to see it come in. So any of those are expandable, so you can really dig in and see, okay, where are my issues? Where are my problems that's going on? So very detailed P&L report as well. P&L summary, a lot of people just like high level summary. Again, same thing, date slider up here so you can choose any date you want. And what that's looking at is these major categories. You're looking at income over previous year so you can see the growth over that time frame. You're looking at your COGS and your labor and your EBITDA so you can really see the trend of your hospital there. So that is kind of the financial section, financial data overview. You can jump into hospital metrics as well too. So again, this is using the Ally DVM partnership connection that we have. So it's going to bring in your PIMS data so that you can really see where you are. I'm just going to filter to this particular hospital. If you have multiple hospitals, you can filter over here. This is going to give me my active clients and active patients, and these are people that have been in the last 18 months, so I can have a running tally of kind of how active everything is. This gives you a lot of choices of what to look at in these graphs. So we can look at revenue monthly, so I can see that 23 and 24 there. And if I hover over any of these, it gives me a lot of information. The client and the patient number is actually visits, so it's invoice numbers, so you can really see what's going on there on those. You can switch to what are my new clients over time, and really look and see what those are doing. So you have a really good idea about what's going on in your hospital. You have many different ways to look at it. Everybody likes to look at it a little bit differently there. I tend to look at things monthly so that I can see it year over year. If you want just a straight timeline view, here, what you can do is it's going to show you those new clients monthly, over time that way, and how they build up and kind of do. I like the comparison view because I like to look over same month, year to year on what's going on there. We've also given you this provider view, which what it's going to do is when you click into it, it's going to have your doctors here. So you can drop down any of these doctors and take a look at them and see what they've done in these categories over time, so that when you have those conversations with the doctors, you're really able to really talk with them about how they're doing, and you can look at different metrics. So all this is at your fingertips. And so you can go back to the hospital view here, and then this is your hospital metrics. So you can really play around, spend a lot of time in here. You can change your time frame of what you're looking at as well too. So very customizable to how you want to look at your data. Profit Defender is our pricing tool. So again, pricing is always an issue because it's really hard to know how you price your goods and services. So we want to give you an easy way to do that. So what you would do is you would go ahead and start a campaign. So you would just hit this button here. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask you which hospital you want. It's going to ask you then to what date you want, and you just hit finish on there. Since we have a few campaigns open, we're going to kind of just take a look at these. So once I get a campaign open, I'd go into here. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring up this chart here. I want to make this a little bit smaller for you. so that you can see the whole of what's going on. So these are all your products and services over here. They're listed in order that when I make a small price change, it's going to affect my overall increase in EBITDA the most. My target increase in EBITDA is I'm going for a 20% increase in your current EBITDA. So if your EBITDA is let's say 10%, I'm going for a 20% increase in that. So it's not moving you to 20 right away, but it's going to move you incrementally that way. So you're going to try and hit this target. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a look and say, okay, here's my price now. Here's potential adjusted price. And I'm going to just kind of move the sliders, and it's going to move the price, and it's going to show you what it does to your overall EBITDA. And the idea is that because of the way they're listed, these will have the first products and services will have the most impact on your bottom line by making small price changes. So it really helps you kind of understand how price changes work to bottom line. This assumes that when you make this price change, that you're going to continue with the same amount of volume, that you're not going to lose volume in that service, and that's how that's calculated. So what you do is you just go through this list and you just keep moving pricing to where you think you want it. You keep, moving things around till you get to that as close as you feel comfortable to that target EBITDA. And then what you would do is go ahead and close that campaign. That will let you print out all of this, kind of locks the sheet on this one, and it starts to engage the Profit Defender Validator, which we'll talk about in a minute. So you would go ahead and just manually put those into your system. These don't connect. You have to just manually change them because we want to make sure we get the prices right. But it's just a really good way to do price increases. You can continue to release more products, just show more, and it'll show more if you need to increase more to get to that target. This gives you your kind of estimated projected revenue. So basically your current revenue. So this is going to bump this one up a little bit based on these price increases. It's going to give you the estimated projected evaluation based on these price increases, again, assuming same volume, and then increased value of your hospital. So you can see what really happens as you start to change these prices, how it kind of can trickle down to the overall value of your hospital. So again, close the campaign once you're done, and then what you're able to do then is go into kind of the Profit Defender Validator, which I'm going to show you. So these are closed campaigns here. And so what I'm going to do is you'd go into the validator. So with the Profit Defender Validator, what you're able to do is once a campaign is closed, then the validator button will come up. Once you click that, it's going to let you look at your price changes over the months to make sure you haven't increased the price too much. So like on this one, we're looking at basically 3 months before and after this price change. So here's the price change. We did a 7% price change on this particular service. The difference between what we did volume-wise 3 months before and 3 months after is we increased 41%. And we increased 43% in revenue. So that's really good. And what we want to see. And we can change that to 3, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months after our price change. So we're able to kind of look at the effect of that price change over time. So what we're looking for is the green arrows. The ones that would make us a little bit nervous are these red arrows. So like on this one, let's just go ahead and pick this 3-year vaccine. 3 months after our 7% price increase, it went down 13%. So what we have to do is we have to think, okay, did we stop doing that vaccine because it got too expensive? Did we start to see declines because of that? Or was this just variation in what we have seen in patients who are coming in and need the vaccine? So you have to kind of think through these and see, but it gives you areas to start to look to make sure that your staff isn't inadvertently giving a different code, isn't not charging for things, or have things change, or did we really overprice that particular service item? So the validator gives you a really, really good peace of mind about what's going on in your hospital. Next one is the Practice Optimizer. So what this is an AI tool that we created that is not currently linked with the dashboards. We have to manually enter this, but it will be linked here pretty soon. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put in your revenue here. You're going to put in your COGS percentage. You're going to put in everything, all of these numbers, and then it's going to give you some targeted advice on how to fix your hospital. So I just added some numbers in here, and all of these can be found in your dashboard. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and hit the AI Practice Optimizer, and what you're going to see is it's going to give you kind of where you are. So total revenue is 100,000, your COGS is 26,000, your optimized should really be 18. So it kind of tells you where you are. And then in each of these categories, it's going to give you very detailed information about how you can fix your COGS to get them to optimize. So it's going to hit staff costs, DVM costs, and your EBITDA. You can email this to yourself. You can read it. You can print it. You can email it to your staff or whoever you want. But it just gives you some really targeted ways to really start to then work on your hospital that way. So this gets us to the end of our video. And I hope you really enjoy Vet-Telligence. And again, if you have any questions or problems, just please let us know. Thanks so much.